Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. Yeah, I couldn't wait. I just watched episode 9 of Sasaki and Miyano not that long ago, and I couldn't wait. No, I'm going out of town next week. That's my excuse. I'm going out of town, so I was like, I want to watch episode 10 before I go, so that it'll be ready to come out when I get back, and it'll be ready to come out on Patreon when I get back. So that's why I'm watching ahead, but also because I want to see the date between Miyano and Sasaki. I want to see their date at the cultural festival. They're at the cafe right now, the Bad Boys Fortune Telling Cafe, because what a great concept. But yeah, so last episode was so good. The last 2 episodes have been so good leading into this final act, and Miyano coming to grips with his feelings for Sasaki being the husbando, respectable man of all men, and it just, they're going on a date. They're meeting up at the cafe. They're going to go get lunch together. It's a date at the festival. I want them to come to grips with their feelings for each other. It's episode 10. We only have 2 episodes after this left in the season. And I'm like, ugh. So I'm really, really excited, but I just can't wait. I couldn't wait. I was like, I could have waited until I got back from my trip to watch this episode, and I was like, no. I'm going to go ahead and watch episode 10, and then maybe I'll get to episode 11 when I get back. Or that week after I get back. So yeah, I just had to go ahead and watch because I need some fluff in my life, and Sasaki and Miyano has fulfilled it. So there you go. But this episode, I'm really excited for. I hope y'all are too. I have decided I'm not gonna read the manga after this. I'm gonna hold off because they just announced a new anime project. So I'm gonna wait till we get more information on that, which is fine. I can be patient. I can be patient about it. So once this series is over, there's actually going to be a poll on Patreon to replace this series after it's over, while we're waiting on Link Click Season 2. Because that's what the spot originally was. And while we're waiting on Link Click Season 2, we'll watch another series after Sasaki and Miyano. But this series, it's been so good. It's so much more than I expected when I started. Everybody was like, oh, it's this fluffy little show. And I was like, oh, that'll be cool. And we've actually had some really good conversations about it, like some really good discussions about sexuality and relationships and building them and the different kinds of relationships we have. And this series has done so much more than a typical romance series does with its main characters developing this romance, or at least the ones I've seen. And I really love it. So, yeah, so let's dive in and see what else happens, right? I'm pretty excited. I love me a culture festival in an anime, and this one's been really good so far. So we're going to start episode 10 of Sasaki to Miyano. Again, thank you, Seth Mary and September Scanlations for the files. I'll have directions below on how to access those if you want to. But we're going to start this here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. That was so precious. That was so freaking precious. That was so cute. That episode, these last 3, this whole final act, it's like they set it all up. They took their time. They reeled us in, and now they're letting us feel the spoils. It's just, this episode was adorable. I'm so glad I didn't wait for this. I'm sorry that you all have to wait on it. I'm sorry about that, but oh my gosh. So we get the cultural festival and the dang fireworks scene. It finally happened. Finally had it. I like Hirano with the bad boy hair. I like that a lot. I like that the whole edge is that they're rough around the edges, but they're not dangerous. They're just there to kind of be. It's like there's a restaurant in the United States where they act like they're jerks to you, and that's kind of that's the gimmick. But here they just look like delinquents. They don't really act like it. They just glare at you and take your order. And that's pretty much it. And of course, Miyano's like, I just want coffee because I'm going to go get some lunch with my friend Sasaki here in a little bit. And so it's very curious. I love the badass customer coffee. That's so fun. And Kurosawa gets the advice on what to get his girlfriend. I like the Kurosawa's like, I am not a fudanshi. I'm just a really good boyfriend. I'm like, Kurosawa is like boyfriend goals because he just wants his girlfriend to feel good. He knows she's in the hospital and he's just doing his homework. I love that line. He's like, I just am a boyfriend that does his homework. I absolutely love that because he's like, no, I'm straight. I'm just doing my gig and we're fine. So Han is interesting, right? I've had the suspicion that maybe Hanzawa likes Miyano, or he likes someone like Miyano, and he doesn't have, maybe either I had the feeling that he likes Miyano, but he knows that Sasaki likes him, so he's backed off, or he likes someone but feels like he's in the same boat as Miyano and doesn't exactly know what to do about it. Like, he's giving Miyano all this advice, but then he doesn't know how to take the advice himself. So I've been torn between those two things. The whole thing with Nissan is interesting. So I want to go back to that scene definitely, but just so precious, and Miyano just coming to grips with how he feels. And so, yeah, I the fact that Hanzawa dressed up as a bad boy and it was too unsettling. I'm like, what kind of bad boy were you dressed up as? Was it like all leather like Mad Max? What was it? So he just wears the mask, but it's still a little, it's, as Miyano says, it makes him even more suspect. But he has him draw like the tarot cards, and he draws the one that represents strength. And I do love how they're all drawn. They all have the pompadours. It's really cute. It's very sweet. And so then, of course, Hanzawa, being the gremlin that he is, he's like, gee, I wonder, what should I do so that I can get together with the person I like? Or maybe you should ask, like, where's the perfect place to confess my feelings to the person I like at? And Miyano is just oblivious enough to not get that he's trying to hint at, I'm on to you and Sasaki. And he tries to say, well, this is puberty, so that's why they're romantic related. Because we're all at that age, right? Where we start to think about those sort of things, maybe. And you can so hear Ash Lynx in his voice in this episode. I know that he voices Fushiguro and also Uenoyama from Given, but I really hear Ash Lynx more than anything with his voice. And I love it. I'm glad we've gotten more of him as this show's gone on. He's a fun character. And of course, Miyano does the whole hypothetical thing again. He's like, if you lack confidence in your own feelings, what should you do so you can learn to trust how you feel? And he's like, oh, so you don't know how to trust in your own feelings to know when is the right time for me to do something. And he think about trusting yourself more, and shuffle them and then pick the card. And the card he picks is the one that's for strength. And I love when his eye opens up. When Hanzawa has his eye open up, it's great. He's like, don't give up. He's like, you've been probably trying to a lot of things to make up your mind. He's like, so just don't give up on it. Just keep doing it. And Miyano's like, well, that is kind of true, I suppose. And so he's like, I don't want to regret my decisions. And he's like, oh, you're so serious. He's like, no. He's like, you could become president of the disciplinary committee. And for a second, I was like, oh yeah, once Toronto's gone, maybe Miyano could become president. And Miyano's like, nope, I don't want that responsibility. I love that Miyano's instantly like, I am not following in my senpai's footsteps. Absolutely not. And he's like, but you can usually speak your mind clearly like you just did, which is a good point. Usually Miyano, when he's fanboying about BL series, or he's like giving an answer about the disciplinary committee, he like instantly says what he's thinking. But when it comes to, and then that kind of relates when he's talking to Ogasawara and he's asking about how he feels about his classmates, he can instantly say what's great about them. But when it comes to somebody that he actually likes, he hesitates because he's like, it's one of those things where like, you don't want to put it out there in the open because what if it's not reciprocated? Or what if it's not the same feelings that they have? And then you're going to be heartbroken. So I get why Miyano is very hesitant to speak his mind about Sasaki, because he's like, once I put these feelings out there, then the ball's in Sasaki's court. And what if he doesn't throw it back? What if it's not the same feelings that he has? And then I'll be the one that feels heartbroken. And that's such a relatable feeling. I think anybody, when you like somebody, you're always hesitant to like, there's such a risk. You're like, if I say I like you, what if it's not reciprocated? Then what do, right? And so Hanzawa says, if you still can't make up your mind, then maybe this means it's an issue you've never considered to have value before. And it's important to you. It's very important if you're just realizing this. So yeah, before Miyano hadn't considered like how he felt about Sasaki, and now that he's having to question it, he realizes how important this decision is. So he doesn't want to be hasty or just say something. He wants it to have meaning. It's like, And so that's when he says, it's natural for you to lack confidence in that case because it's a big thing. So you're so very close to understanding how you truly feel, right? Yeah, by the end of this episode, he knows how he truly feels. So don't give up. Have strength. just hanging there a bit longer. And Miyano was like, wow, that was really good advice, Hanzawa. Thanks for doing that. Great job. I appreciate it. And so then Hanzawa does his own reading. But before that, he says, with a romance-related reading, then that card, it would have meant a love that blooms all in good time. Meaning that it's going to happen. It's going to take some time. It just is going to be, it's going to take a little bit longer or something like that, right? And he does say, I hope things work out for Miyano. It just all depends on the other party. So that part, his line saying he wants things to work out for Miyano and Sasaki, it just depends on how Sasaki acts, makes me think that he wants Sasaki and Miyano to get together, right? I wonder what I should do in the meantime. And then he reads, and it's the Hanged Man. Just accept it without any sort of protest. And then he says, Nissan. So that's the Nissan thing throws me off because the Hanged Man card makes me think that he didn't know what to do about Miyano and Sasaki in this relationship blooming because he likes Miyano. But then, and the Hanged Man card says just accept it without protest. So that makes me think that Hanzawa is like, okay, I'm just going to let this play out between Miyano and Sasaki, and maybe it's not meant to be for me and Miyano to be together. But the Nissan thing is weird. Like, why did he say Nissan? So I'm very curious. Very curious. I'm like, is Hanzawa and Hirano's roommate brothers? Because they both look kind of similar. No, probably not. The Nissan thing is curious. I don't understand that part, but because that usually means brother. Right? Doesn't Nissan mean brother? I don't know. And so then, yeah, Hirano, being ultimate wingman, lets Sasaki go 10 minutes early from his shift. He's like, just go on and get out of here. Go hang out with your boyfriend. He's like, oh, really? It doesn't seem like it's been that long. He's like, get out. Go get changed. Which, for him, go get changed is just take off the jacket. And Hanzawa was like, I thought he still had 10 minutes. And he's like, it was just 10 minutes. Go back to your tent. And Hirano being, I love that look for Hirano. Him being like best boy. He's like, go get your man. He's like, just telling Sasaki, go do it. I love Wingman Hirano. It's so good. It's so sweet. And then, yeah. So we go to this culture festival. And I love that both of them, they each wanted to do different things. Of course, Sasaki likes the sweet things. So he wanted to go to the cotton candy maker. And Miyano likes spicy or sour things, so he wanted the hot candy maker. And then they decide to do both. It's like, oh, that's so sweet. And then, yes, they go throughout the whole festival. It's adorable. And then they do the drag show. And so I like Kurosawa talking to Sasaki in this. And Sasaki being like, oh, you knew? You knew that I had this issue with Miyano being in it? And Kurosawa's like, well, everybody kind of knows. But I'm just a random guess, just assuming based on your body language and the fact that you've been very obvious the last several weeks. But, and Sasaki doesn't take a picture of him like that, which is interesting. He goes to take a photo of him, but then he doesn't. Or maybe he does and we don't, and it just doesn't click for us to see it. But Sasaki, when he's asked why he supports him, and then of course Kurosawa's like, well, Miyano hasn't told me, but it's pretty obvious how you feel. I like Sasaki's answer to this. He's like, and then he realizes his mistake. I haven't tried to hide it. He's like, I'm not thrilled, but I love seeing him enjoying himself. It's one of those things like you always you take pleasure in finding like your friends and stuff enjoying things. And so that's like one of my friends really likes this band. And so we went to this concert to see them over the summer. And it's a band that I like. I'm not like crazy about them, but I liked the band, but I liked the concert was fun. But the most fun thing about it was watching her like have so much fun. Like she was just having the time of her life. And I understand Sasaki's feelings. Like, yeah, it's cool when you're friends with someone or if you like them in a romantic setting that seeing them get fired up and excited about something, it just makes you feel good. Like seeing them have so much fun with it. And I think that kind of relates to why he goes to the movie later with Miyano because he wants to see Miyano like enjoying himself so much. And that's why Sasaki reins himself in from doing the hand holding, because he's like, if I hold his hand in the movies, then it's about me. And I don't want it to do that. He's having so much fun enjoying this movie that he came to see by himself, which means he must really have wanted to see it. So he's like, I don't want to ruin this moment for him. And he's like, Mia-chan is such a kind soul. He's been so nice to me, even after learning how I feel about him. And then Sasaki, like, our oblivious gremlin, he's like, wait a minute. Miyano's saying that whole thing about him growing old. Does he mean he's thinking about us being together forever? It's like, you dunce! He's definitely thinking about you being together long term. I just don't think Miyano realized it in the moment. But Sasaki's realizing it now, and Kurosawa's like, are you okay? And he's like, oh my God. He's like, it was probably just a figure of speech, but I love him so much. Oh, I can't wait to grow up so that he can be with him, like, outside of school and everything as adults. Oh, to grow up into someone who won't be so needy and drag him down. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I missed that line. Because Miyano says later, he's like, man, he's needy. It's like, yeah, Sasaki is kind of needy. He's very clingy, but it's cute. And he's not overly clingy, at least not now, because Miyano hasn't given him an answer. Now, once Miyano confesses, it may be something totally different. But I like Sasaki's like, I need to mature. I need to grow up. I need to be worthy. It very much reminds me of Akihiko and Given. He's like, I need to be worthy of his love. And it's like, oh, honey. It's like, oh my God. But he's like, I can't wait until I'm an adult and I can just be there for him and not be so needy. It's so sweet. So Miyano gets runner-up. It's very cute. And they admit that next year they're going to have Tashiro do it. And to go the sexy route. And Tashiro's like, nope, not having it. Not doing it. Tatsuko is banned from here on out. And him going over. I do like Sasaki with the red camo. It actually works for him, oddly enough. And then Miyano's like, I'm disappointed I lost, but happy that everyone thought I looked more manly than the guy in first. And Sasaki says, oh, you've gotten taller. He's like, you're right, I have. And I like that Sasaki's been measuring their height difference. He's like, well, a year ago you were down here and now you're up here. I like that he's been keeping track of that height difference, you know? He's like, I wasn't that short. And then Sasaki's like, I don't think I've seen you like this before. And that Miyano has the reaction to him. And the thing of it is that Sasaki just now notices that he's had the reaction. But I guess looking back on all the other episodes, Miyano's reaction, if he's had one, has always been after Sasaki has turned around or left. So I guess it makes sense. This is the first time that Sasaki sees Miyano having this straightforward reaction. I'm like, oh, okay. And I love the shot. I love that they focus on the hands in this, because that's always been with Sasaki this entire time. He's always wanted to touch Miyano or hold his hand or do something, and he's always been hesitant and held back. And this has been the first time that he's like, okay. And here's the thing. I think Sasaki has been wondering this whole time, like, okay, does Miyano actually like me or not? Is this a mutual feeling? I'm giving him space. I'm letting him figure it out. But as this episode goes on, it seems like Sasaki's realizing maybe Miyano does like me. Maybe it is mutual. And meanwhile, Miyano's realizing the same thing, that he loves Sasaki, and he's wondering if it's mutual. And I'm like, oh, honey, it is. Okay, once you confess, I think you're going to find it's mutual. But, oh my God, this fireworks scene. It was everything. It was everything. It was not the confession that I was hoping for, and they're all in like their shirts and ties and everything. He's like, I just want to spend time with you now. Like, Sasaki's always wanted to spend time with him. I'm like, come on, Miyano, honey. And what I love is that in this moment, the firework moment, one, it's beautifully animated. It's gorgeous. Like, the animation in this episode, in this scene, oh, it's great. Sasaki admits this is the first time he's seen the firework festival in 3 years, because normally after the festival he goes straight home. He doesn't have a reason to stay. And this time he does. but I'm spending it with you this year, so it's been the best festival in all 3 years. I'm like, Miyano, if you're wondering if Sasaki has mutual feelings towards you, the answer is yes. Which we, the audience, know, but... And I love this scene. And at first, I was a little dejected. I had wanted a confession so badly in this scene, because it seems like it's perfect, right? But he says, can you please wait just a little bit longer for my answer? And I love that he doesn't reject him. He's just like, I need to think about it just a little bit more. And I was dejected at first at this. But then he says, I worry it wouldn't be wise to say anything just right now. Like he's just, Miyano is this torrent of feelings and emotions, and he's trying to rationalize it all. And he's like, I don't want to give you an answer that I'm not 100% confident in, and I'm close, but I just need to think about it a little bit longer. And I love that he communicates that to Sasaki. And Sasaki's like, does that mean... And I love that he reaches out and he's like, I don't know. But then he does it anyway. He's like, I wonder. And he says, okay. That scene, God, look, I'm taking a picture of that right now. That whole scene of them with the sparkles. The sparkles. And he holds his hand. My heart is pounding like crazy. I wonder how much I'm allowed to touch him. And that animation of him like doing this and like then holding his hand. It's like Modazushi levels of just, oh my God. And then him like holding hands. Oh my God, Sasaki. I'm just at a loss. How much can I do? He's like, I've held out this long. He's like, how much can I touch him? I want to touch him so badly, but I want to respect him. And I'm at the end of my rope. Like, what do I do? And then, yeah, I'll wait. I love that. He just puts his hand on his shoulder and leans into him. He's like, I'll wait. I love that he says it out loud. Oh my God. And Miyano just being like, is he being needy with me? I'm like, yes, you dunce boy. He is needy. He's quite clingy. And I like Miyano's like, oh my gosh. I love it when Sasaki senpai leans on me. And so this is the thing that I love about this scene too, is he says, I wanted to take him in my arms back then. I wanted to like cradle him and hold him. I wanted to treat him tenderly, to take care of him. And normally that's a seme thing, right? That they take care of the uke. They help them, right? But I guess you could argue it's an uke thing too, to take care of the seme. So it's again, we've just abandoned the seme uke thing at this point. It's what it is, right? It could be either way, right? But I love that Miyano, he's like, I want to treat him tenderly and take care of him, right? And it's the greatest thing because he's like, is this the same kind of love that he feels for me? Yes, I do think so too. Sasaki, maybe not the taking care of, but Sasaki like wants to like embrace him like Miyano wants to embrace him. He wants to like keep him close. He wants to like be tender with him, very much so. And so I feel like it is mutual. Like they both feel the same way about each other. And I guess that's the point that Miyano's been trying to figure out this whole time, being like, in this relationship, if we're looking at a give and take and we're both after the same thing, like, are we mutual about this? They are. I think Miyano realizes that by the end of this episode. I was always so self-conscious about my feminine features before. But I'm not just happy. What did he say? What does he say there? I missed that. I'm not just happy he depends on me. I'm not just happy that he shares the same hobby as me. So it's not, so Miyano's like, he doesn't make me happy just because he depends on me or because we share the same interests. That's not it. No, that's not what this is at all. It's something more. I can't tell him like this though. It's, God, this scene. He's like, I need to find a way to articulate it because he's like, yeah, it's, when you're in a relationship with someone, yeah, it's nice if you want to take care of them. And it's nice that if you want them to depend on you, but that can't be the basis of the relationship, right? Because that's kind of a one-way street, right? That's if Miyano's like, if Sasaki depends on me and I want to take care of him, it's all focused on me. But what does he feel like, right? So I like that Miyano, at first I was a little sad that he didn't confess here, but then I'm like, no, he wants to find the right words to articulate exactly how he feels. And now's not the time. The emotions are too heightened, right? I don't want to hurt him. I can't just try with him. I love that. I love that he's like, and I think it ties a little bit back to Ogasawara where he's like, I don't date a girl unless I intend to marry her. Maybe not that extreme, but the meaning behind Ogasawara is if I'm going to be in a relationship with someone, I'm going all in. Like I'm going to dedicate myself to it. And I think that's what Miyano's saying here. He's like, I don't want to just try. I want to be like Ogasawara and I want to, and he ties back to the kissing thing, like, well, maybe we could try kissing. He's like, no, if I'm going to kiss him, if I'm going to be in a relationship, I want to be committed. I don't want to realize later it's not the same after all. I don't want to dive in without knowing it's mutual. God, this scene. And then, yeah, he has that moment and then they go lock up. It'd be irresponsible to tell him how I feel without being confident that I wouldn't hurt him. Oh. We better get going or Ron will get pissed. He really, really cares about me. Yeah. And that's when they find the props room and everything. Oh, man. There are tons of people doing the Soran Bushi dance after all. He's like, I want to tell him. So he says, I wonder how bad the next room will be. It'd be a lot easier to check the stragglers if the rooms were in order. I want to tell him, but I don't know if I should assume this is the same kind of love he feels for me. I'm like, Miyano, it is. But I don't blame him because if you don't know, you don't know, right? And he's just trying to be sure. And then Miyano does the same thing. I don't know. So why do I want to tell him I love him so badly? Because now he's in the same boat as Sasaki. It's all mutual now. Now he's in the same boat. Yep. Oh my God. Now they're in the same boat. He wants to reach out to him just like Sasaki wanted to reach out to him. It's mutual now. It's love, damn it. So then I liked it. I wondered why Miyano was wearing a cap in this scene. I'm like, why is he wearing a hat? But it was because he was going to the theater and he didn't want people to recognize him. So even though Miyano has made great strides in his self-confidence and how he feels about himself, it's not like a total 180. He's like, no, he still feels a little bit self-conscious, especially going to a BL movie. Because if you think about it, when you see him in the theater, he would have been the only guy there. Makes sense. He's like, I can't believe they had a first press edition available and I managed to get it. Aww. And then he bumps into Sasaki. I love them and they're like outside like weekend clothes. He's like, fancy running into you on a weekend. And here's what I was waiting on. I was waiting for Miyano to feel the same feelings that Sasaki felt when that girl showed up with Miyano. I was like, will Miyano ever get jealous of someone? And for a hot second, he starts to get jealous of Sasaki's sister before he realizes it's his sister. And Sasaki's family, good genetics. They all look really attractive. And he's like, because you stand there talking to the shopkeeper forever. I love that they're instantly like siblings. I love that Sasaki's like, because you were taking too long. Like that's such a sibling response. And then she's like, what's the harm in a little chat? And he's like, it's not little. And Miyano's like, oh, huh? Like that, at that moment, I think Miyano was getting a little bit jealous that Sasaki was with someone else until Ogasawara shows up. And I just love that our Hot Mess Express, thank you for getting my bags, Ogasawara-kun. I love he's in this leather jacket. Again, Ogasawara, a bad boy uke. He looks like a bad boy uke. He has the leather moto jacket on. He has the dyed hair. But he is anything but a bad boy. And he's like, I'm missing one. That means you brought way too much. And then, so that's when, and I like that Miyano-chan doesn't vocalize that he's jealous, but you get that little sense that it's there. And then Sasaki says, oh, are you free? And he says, let's go get some tea then. I'll catch up with you in a sec, so head on with Ogasawara and wait for me, okay? So I'm like, what did he do? What did he go do? Was he just getting his sister taken care of? That's what I'm like, did he get Miyano something and we don't know it yet? Because we ended with the movie theater lobby. So did he get Miyano like a manga or something? I don't know. But he went off to do something. So it's either to like get his sister to go away or get something planned with her, or he went to get something for Miyano and we don't know about it yet. What? I love Ogasawara though. They're at this like coffee shop and he's like, Sasaki's sister treats people like dogs. And that's when Miyano realizes that was his sister. And he's like, yup. I love the yup. She's shopping for an outfit for her boyfriend. And she had Sasaki and Ogasawara model as mannequins. Mm-hmm. That's funny. Okay. And Miyano's like, it's okay. And he's like, oh, you were in the drag pageant? And then Hanzawa senpai helped me out with it. And he's like, so that jackass made a butterface of his own class to make sure you guys did good. Ah! Mm-hmm. So why did Hanzawa go out of his way? He's like, I don't get it. He's terrifying even when he's laughing. And I think Miyano's like, he's a good person, though. He handles a lot of tasks and must be really busy, but he never complains. He's like, I guess so. Come to think of it, I've never heard him bitching. All right, I can see you really look up to him. Like, but what about Hirano? So Ogasawara is like, let's go through the senpai. Let's go through the senpai. So you really look up to Hanzawa. Okay, what about Hirano? I thought you looked up to him too. And then he's like, oh, Hirano senpai. Yeah, he's really nice, isn't he? And he's like, nice my ass. And he's a monster when it comes to studying and gets pissed at nothing. The fact that he helps you study at all is nice. And then I like these as plus. I was trying to think. There was all this text going on the screen. He goes, bad boy, motherly, blonde, disciplinary committee vice president, cool, good in a fight, trusted by teachers, smart, athletic, living in a dorm, etc. Having a lot of character attributes must be really nice. Oh, that's kind of sad. Because that suggests that Miyano doesn't consider himself to have a lot of different attributes, whereas Hirano's like this like big personality guy. That's kind of sad. I was like, Miyano, you have a really good personality. Aw. And he says, it's fun hearing what you think about other people. So what do you think about Sasaki? And because how he feels about Sasaki is important, he wants to take his time and pick the right words, right? And he's like, oh, he's a good senpai. And Ogasawara's like, is that it? You got to give me more. Like, what else? And he's like, I've got to think about it because I want to say the right thing. And then he says, oh, you're close with him because he's ditched me to go home with you. So how is he different from Hirano and Hanzawa? And it's like, because he likes him and he wants to say the right thing. And that's so relatable. Because yeah, when you like somebody, you want to like find the perfect words to describe it, right? And you want to phrase it in the right way. And sometimes when you like somebody, it's really hard to phrase it because you're like, it's just there. That feeling is there and it's hard to explain. And you can phrase it a certain way, but that doesn't seem like it's enough, right? It seems like just saying he's a good senpai is a blanket term to get Ogasawara off his back. But in reality, when you like somebody, it's not only that you sometimes can't find the right words to describe it, but those words don't seem like enough. They don't seem like they have enough weight or value to them. And I feel like that's how Miyano thinks about Sasaki in this moment. And then right at that moment, old Sasaki shows up with that look on his face, being like, are you annoying Mia-chan? Are you trying to get things out of him that you shouldn't be, Mia Ogasawara? Oh, Sasaki's jealous face is great. I love that Sasaki's got like a caramel macchiato frappuccino, like the most sugary drink possible. It's kind of amazing. He's like, what was that? That was a terrifying look. Oh my God. And he's like, oh, are you good, Mia-chan? I like that he looks over like, yes. I like that he's instantly like, oh, hey, are you fine? And Oga's like, double standard. I just want to know if he looked up to you. And then he's like, oh, is that so? And he's like, how do you feel? And he's like, why did I have to say it to his face? I think you're a good senpai. And he's like, oh, I see. Great. And he's like, He's like, shut up. What about Ogasawara? I love it. He's like, oh. And I love that Ogasawara's like, am I okay? Do you look up to me? He's like, I think you're earnest when it comes to your girlfriend and you're cool. Aww. He's like, is that so? You finally have found a kohai that thinks like that. He's like, shut up. And so then, of course, in typical fashion, Ogasawara has to run to do things with his girlfriend. They're getting ingredients to cook together, which is actually extremely romantic. So I'm like, Ogasawara, boyfriend goals. Like, that's so sweet. And so then, yeah, I missed this thing earlier where he's making dinner for his girlfriend. They're supposed to go shopping for ingredients. And Miyano asks, he's like, oh, right, his family knows about their relationship. That's a thing, too. So if Sasaki and Miyano end up in a relationship together, is the sister and the mom and everybody going to be chill with it? And you would think that they would, but the fact that Miyano brings this up is interesting, because I'm like, why wouldn't Ogasawara's and Imi's family be okay with their relationship? And Sasaki's like, yeah, they're really close. And they ask what he's doing. And Miyano's like, I'm going to a movie. And they make it a date. And then it's a BL movie. I love the chibi forms of them. It's really, really cute. And so he tags along. He's like, oh, you'll go to a BL movie? Are you sure you want to go watch this movie? It's just, you don't have to. He's like, sure. And then it'll be like a little movie date. And then, of course, Meow's like, it is, isn't it? But yeah, they're like there are a couple guys in the audience, though. It's mostly girls, but there's a couple guys. There's also a girl with, like, maybe it's a movie theater you can order food from, because there was a girl that, like, had either a script or a menu there. But we stand out as a pair of guys. Yes. And then, as they're watching this movie, Miyano's like, oh my god. And of course, and then I like that Sasaki goes to grab his hand when they're saying, I'm in love with you. I've always been always. But he sees just how entranced Miyano is, and he's like, I don't want to ruin the moment. Because Miyano is, like, so invested. It's so cute. Aww. And Sasaki's like, I'm going to let it go. Oh, that's so sweet. Like, these beans, I can't help but take photos of them because they're too precious. And they're like, accept my love, senpai. And I love that Miyano has the clenched fist, like, maybe this is getting him the inspiration he needs. And Sasaki's like, that was good, didn't you think? And he's like, it was so good. And oh my god, what a meta commentary. Like, Miyano's talking about how it being live action and worrying that they couldn't translate the emotions from the 2D source material into live action, but it somehow works. I absolutely know this feeling. Everything he's describing in this is exactly how, if you've ever seen something adapted from one version to the next and you've been worried as a fan of it, like, this is the fanboy fangirl response, and I can relate to it so much. I was like, oh my god, Miyano, you're speaking my language. The reviews are really good, so I got curious and decided to come today. Oh, and seeing them on screen, moving and talking is exactly how I feel. And he just goes into so much detail. How could you feel these fragile emotions? It's just like he gets so excited. And seeing him be so enamored with his little eyes glowing, it was very good. I'm so glad I worked up the nerve to come. Oh, our little introvert. And Saki's like, yeah, it was really good. It was really good. I love that Sasaki's like kind of an extrovert, and then he's like, I think I borrowed this manga from you. He's like, oh, it's based on a novel. So here's something interesting. Sasaki's like, oh yeah, I'll borrow it, but it may take me some time to return it. And he's like, oh, you guys study for exams. And he's like, well, it's just, I hardly ever read novels, so I'm not sure how it'll go. So I'm like, oh, so Sasaki he doesn't read fast. I'm like, that's an interesting tidbit. That he brings it up. He's like, were there any differences from the original? He's like, oh yeah. And then as they're doing, these two girls, they're like, check them out. Do you think they're dating? And they're like, oh, you've still got that movie on the brain. Well, it's not exactly a movie two guys would go see. So yeah, it's like, truth be told, like, would two guys just go see this BL romance? And I was afraid it was going to turn into something like dramatic and sad, but Miyano's like, oh, and Saki's like, what's up? And they're like, you gotta stop assuming saying things like that. So I do appreciate the friends are like, don't assume just because they're going. No. Like, I like the progressive best friend is like, don't just assume just because they're seeing the movie together. And Miyano's like, it's nothing. And he says they aren't saying anything rude about us. And yet, And then it's like, he's like, how do I feel about that? And I think that's a really good question for Miyano to ask. He's like, what if we were going to see this movie together and we were dating? Like, does it bother me that they see us like that? I guess not. And then I love that Sasaki's like, what's up, dude? He's like, you're pinching my cheek. And he's like, I'm glad we got to see that movie together. He's like, snap back into it, bud. And then this is the moment. He's like, good. This is the moment that Miyano realizes, I'm in love with him. Oh my gosh, being with him is so relaxing. Yeah. He's like, what is this? I don't have anything to prove. I'd be okay with kissing him or anything else. So yeah, in that moment, Miyano's like, I'm in love with him. Like, being with him is so relaxing. And what those other girls said, it doesn't matter because I'm with him. And I love that he's like, I don't have anything to prove that I'd be okay with kissing him or anything. He's like, I don't know what physically I would do with him at this point. Like, I haven't come to terms with that. That's not even on the table yet. But I love him. He's like, I know that now. But senpai. And he's like, if this isn't love, then what is it? That's the thing. Like, what other feeling could it be? He's like, that's the thing too. He's like, this has to be love because I don't know any other way to describe it. He's like, I don't really know if I want to kiss him or hold hands or be intimate with him romantically or physically, but he's like, but I feel these feelings and it has to be love because I can't explain it any other way. Oh! And that's where we end it. So, okay. Our boys, so this is love. Now what do we do? Mrs. Miyano has finally accepted that it's love, damn it. He feels this way about Sasaki. And so now the thing is, how does he vocalize it? How does he confess? How does he talk and communicate to Sasaki that he loves him? And we have 2 episodes left. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So yeah, this episode's so good. I can't wait. I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. Please no spoilers. I know with this episode coming out, the series has ended in reality, but it's gonna be a great another 2 weeks with this show. I can't believe we only have 2 episodes left. My heart, y'all. 2 episodes left. I'm just, I'm gonna miss this show. I really am. It's been such a freaking ray of sunshine and so wholesome. I've been told the dub is good, and I've seen a clip of the dub. So, with that being said, I have seen clips of the dub. I want to go watch it. I'll probably be watching it. I've had people ask on Patreon if I would be doing like Patreon like Discord watchings, and I may do that actually. I may watch different shows that I've already seen in the Discord. Like on certain nights or something, or like once or twice a month, if I get a chance to do like a little marathon of a couple episodes, like one night, twice a month, just for fun. And if I do that, then I definitely will want to go back and rewatch this show in the English dub. And that might be fun to watch and talk about. That could be a fun little thing. Someone on the Discord sent a clip of it, and it was adorable. It was absolutely adorable. I was like, yes, please. And so I definitely want to watch more of that. So I'm not going to be done with Sasaki and Miyano. I'm going to go back and watch the English dub after this is all over at some point. But, oh my gosh, you guys. So good. So good. But yeah, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. We have 2 episodes left. We're going to get confession, I feel like, either next episode or the final one. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care. And yeah, I'll be back next week with episode 11, the penultimate episode of Sasaki and Miyano. Bye.